So thank you for inviting me. I am really excited to share what I've been doing over at the University of Arizona. First of all, I used to teach at Pima. That's where I first started my academic career. My college teaching career was at Pima Community College, and this gave me the springboard to come to the U of A. And I was an instructional designer, both at Pima. I was also a teacher at Pima, and then I came to the University of Arizona as an instructional designer. So if you want to use open pedagogy and you really want to use storytelling or different modes of assessment, you need to start at the end. So you need to start with, what do I want my students to learn? What are my outcomes for this course? And that's where you start. And then you think, how can I allow my students to show me what they've learned in different creative ways? And it's probably talking to some people, but it's got to start with, what do I want them to learn, and how can I get them to demonstrate it in a creative way? That's going to be the first point that you start with. And then you just start looking for resources. You start talking to people, and you start thinking creatively about, what do I want to grade? I mean, that's honestly what I started with. What do I want to grade? I don't want to read a lot of papers. I want to watch multimodal presentations. I want to see graphics. I want to see movement. I want to hear the excitement in my students' voice about what they've learned, instead of just giving them a test or having them write a paper.
If you could speak a little bit about what you've learned from your own students, in terms of, as teachers, we often learn more from our students than they learn from us. What has this project taught you about how students learn and how students experience the classroom?
So I was teaching computer science, and I knew that there were people in the audience, in my student group, that had some expertise that I didn't have. And so what I would do is, instead of just saying, okay, let me teach you what I know about this, I would say, how many of you are gamers? And I would get all these hands. And I would say, okay, you're going to come up and tell me about your experience. And they would be like, whoa. And I'm like, no. I go, you are an expert. You actually have some knowledge that I don't have, and I want to learn from you. And it was amazing, because people, or these students, really started getting engaged. They were like, oh, what will I know that she won't know? And what they found out is we shared a lot of information back and forth. So I would learn from them, they would learn from me. We actually engaged with each other. This not only happened at Pima, but it happened here in my multicultural class, because there were so many times when people would stand up or share their stories. And it was just, heart-touching to hear their stories. I think it goes a little bit to what I learned here at the university with Louise Moll and the Funds of Knowledge, that everybody comes into the classroom with some type of knowledge. And if you can get the student to share that, then they're more open to you sharing the knowledge that you have. So now you're partners in learning, and it's not just a one-way push.
Melody, if you think about the overall work that it takes to make this happen, for example, you're trying to bring in digital storytelling to support an open pedagogy project for whatever outcome, whether it's multicultural learning or it's learning in computer sciences. Can you tell us about some things you want faculty or designers to keep in mind as they pursue this kind of a really nuanced approach to teaching and learning?
Yes, absolutely. So I told you I was an instructional designer, and my first degree is in architecture, so I absolutely love design. But design only goes so far. So the story that I always give, that I love to tell, is you're having a party at your house, and you plan for the party, and you want people to come in the front door, but you don't want them to go upstairs and go into your bedroom. So before the party, what do? You plan. You get everything just how you want it. You get the pillows fluffed on the couch, you get the chips and wine and everything in the kitchen, and you have everything going on. and then the party happens. And so people come in, and guess what? They might go upstairs and go to your bathroom, and you have to bring them back down, and you have to bring them through the flow of the party. Same thing happens in a class. So you develop a class, you have a syllabus, you maybe have a fully online class where you've highly developed it, and you want everybody to come through the same pathway. And what you find is people kind of meander and wander through the learning. And you as an educator have to be okay with that, because learning is messy. And if you've never been in a kindergarten class, you know that learning is messy. And even at the college level, learning is messy. And so while you want to have a highly designed, developed plan for your party, when the party happens, you just kind of have to go with the flow and get everybody to start learning, and maybe getting them through the living room and the kitchen and out to the backyard, because maybe that's your final outcome.
So Melody, it sounds like you chunk the learning in small pieces, and I think what you told me before, there was a 7-step process that would include annotated bibliographies, little pieces that build towards the digital learning artifacts, cultural snapshots, presentations. As you think about the scaffolding of those projects, did you have students do graded assignments with each stage of learning?
Not always. I had students, because I gave them a lot of agency, I had students that were confused. So you have students that come to higher education that have been successful in K-12. Otherwise, they really wouldn't be at community college or at the university. And so there's this paradigm shift. It's like, tell me what you want from me and I will give it to you. Yeah. It's the regurgitation. And so some of my assignments were confusing to actually some of my high achieving students, because they were like, I don't know what she wants. I don't know how to play her game. And I'm like, I'm not playing a game. I'm wanting you to take what you're learning and show it to me. And for some of our students, that's a paradigm shift that's challenging.
Melody, I think it's super important that you're focused on storytelling, and yet a lot of our faculty wouldn't necessarily associate storytelling with their specific approach. Say they're a science teacher or a math teacher, and the question emerges, well, where does storytelling fit into my teaching? Does it really make a difference for our students in helping them connect to the courses that they're studying?
Storytelling, I think, is the foundation for how we first started learning. And so if you take that kind of foundation, you can take that to any discipline. Students are going to perk up. Everybody is going to perk up when you say, let me tell you a story, because it engages you. It engages a part of your brain that really holds on to the learning, right? And so whether you are teaching math or chemistry or language really important to have storytelling, telling those stories helps the learning to be sticky. And I know some people think, I don't really know how I would think about storytelling in my discipline, but I think you need to really think outside of the box. And from that open pedagogy point of view, get your students to help you.
So let's think for a moment about open pedagogy and assessment. What do you think is important for our faculty to consider when they're looking at multiple ways that students can demonstrate what they're learning?
So when you challenge students to use open pedagogy, they realize that their assessment, their demonstration of their learning is not going to be contained in the classroom. It is now open to everyone. There's a little bit of psychology behind that, because now instead of just one person seeing my work, a lot of people may see my work. So I think that having open pedagogy to do the assessment makes your assessment a lot more authentic, because now it's not just, okay, I'm just going to go and take this test and I'm going to memorize it and I'm going to walk out and I don't have to think about it anymore. This actually helps students internalize what they learn and walk away with how they can use it in their real life or in their next courses. So open pedagogy is not really new. I mean, we've been doing this in K-12 for a lot of years. Introducing it to higher ed really gives students a way to take what they've learned and to share it on a bigger stage. This really makes for authentic assessment instead of them just memorizing and giving it to one person. So I think the innovation, gets to get with the sharing, with the collaboration. We're living in a society where you can get a lot of things off the internet, but what's unique to you? And so we need our students to be able to tell that story and to say, this is what's unique about me.
To learn more about Dr. Buckner's research and explore other innovative practices for equitable teaching and learning, we hope you'll join us at this year's PimaOnline Educators Conference.